In an era marked by rapid technological advancements and geopolitical tensions, the dynamics of international trade are undergoing significant transformations. Recently, a series of developments have emerged in U.S. China relations, particularly concerning technology and trade agreements that could reshape the landscape of global commerce. As both nations navigate their complex relationship, the rhetoric in Chinese media and political discourse is shifting, reflecting a nuanced approach to diplomacy. On May 21, 2025, news broke regarding a potential trade pact between the United States and China, igniting discussions about its implications for political rhetoric in China. Analysts note that this development represents a marked shift in China's approach, which may be susceptible to the pressures of globalization and the interconnected nature of modern economies. Historically, China has maintained a staunchly defensive stance against U.S. policies. But the prospect of a trade agreement could signal a willingness to engage in dialogue and compromise. However, this fragile détente faces considerable challenges, particularly in the high-stakes arena of semiconductor technology. The U.S. has imposed strict export controls on chip technology, a move that has drawn ire from Chinese officials. In a recent statement, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang described these controls as a failure, arguing that they inadvertently accelerate China's advancements in semiconductor development. The more restrictions we impose, the more motivated they become to innovate, Huang remarked, highlighting the counterproductive nature of such policies. Simultaneously, tensions are escalating over the strategic military implications of space technology. A proposal dubbed the Golden Dome Missile Defense Project, championed by the U.S. government, has prompted China to accuse the United States of turning space into a war zone. This accusation underscores the increasing militarization of space and the potential for conflict in this uncharted territory. As both nations bolster their military capabilities, the need for clear communication and diplomacy becomes all the more critical to avoid a miscalculation that could lead to unintended consequences. The interplay of trade technology and military strategy is creating a complex web of interactions that both sides must navigate carefully. While the potential for a trade truce exists, ongoing tensions in the semiconductor sector and military posturing could undermine progress. The balance of dialogue and confrontation will likely shape the future of U.S. China relations and the broader global economy. As we look ahead, the trajectory of these developments remains uncertain. The outcome of the trade negotiations and the responses to military initiatives will be pivotal in determining whether the U.S. and China can find common ground amid their differences. Observers are keenly watching for signs of further diplomatic engagement or escalating hostilities, as the implications of these interactions will undoubtedly resonate across the globe. The evolving narrative in Chinese media and the responses from American leaders will be crucial in shaping public perception and policy decisions in the months to come. As global markets navigate a tumultuous landscape shaped by geopolitical tensions, the ongoing trade conflict between the United States and China continues to exert profound effects on Taiwan and the broader international community. The ramifications of these tensions are multifaceted, influencing everything from supply chains to national security strategies. Particularly as both superpowers engage in a complex interplay of economic rivalry and diplomatic maneuvering. Recent analyses highlight the fragility of a temporary trade truce, suggesting that the underlying issues remain unresolved. A Reuters poll indicates a persistently weak outlook for the U.S. economy despite the brief respite in hostilities, emphasizing that economic indicators remain lackluster. While the trade truce offers a momentary relief, the structural issues driving the conflict are still present and may lead to renewed tensions, an unnamed economic analyst noted. This sentiment reflects concerns that the truce is merely a band-aid on a much deeper wound, with both nations still grappling with significant trade imbalances and competitive aspirations. Moreover, the trade conflict has had a particularly pronounced impact on Taiwan, which finds itself at the center of this geopolitical storm. Taiwan is a critical player in global supply chains, especially in semiconductor manufacturing, which is integral to both American and Chinese technology sectors. As tensions escalate, so does the risk for Taiwan, which could face increased pressure from China and a potential re-evaluation of its strategic alliances. Experts warn that Taiwan's economy could suffer if it is caught in the crossfire of U.S. China tit-for-tat sanctions. In response to these challenges, China is reportedly recalibrating its approach with a focus on strengthening its domestic capabilities. The South China Morning Post outlines how China's next 5-year plan aims to address the vulnerabilities exposed by the trade war. This strategic pivot underscores Beijing's commitment to reducing dependence on foreign technology and fostering homegrown innovation. As a result, analysts predict that the global tech landscape could witness a significant reshaping as both nations strive for technological self-sufficiency. Amid these developments, the rhetoric surrounding the semiconductor industry has intensified. Companies like TSMC and Intel are now pivotal players not just in their respective markets but in the broader geopolitical chess game. Recent statements from industry leaders suggest that collaboration may be essential, but there is an undercurrent of tension as firms navigate the dual pressures of competition and cooperation. Looking ahead, the future of U.S.-China relations and consequently Taiwan's role within this dynamic remains uncertain. The potential for further escalation looms large, particularly as both nations reaffirm their stances on critical issues like technology transfer, intellectual property, and market access. As this landscape evolves, stakeholders must remain vigilant, understanding that the ramifications of the trade conflict extend beyond economic metrics, touching upon national security and regional stability. In conclusion, while temporary trade truces may offer brief respite, the underlying tensions between the U.S. and China suggest that the challenges faced by Taiwan and the global community are far from over. As both nations continue to jockey for position, the implications for international trade, technological innovation, and geopolitical alliances will be profound and lasting. The world watches closely, anticipating how this intricate dance will unfold in the coming years. In an evolving geopolitical landscape, the dynamics of military alliances and rivalries hold significant implications for global security and stability. Recent intelligence assessments from the United States have highlighted a surprising and complex development between two of its most prominent adversaries, China and North Korea. Despite their shared interests and historical ties, U.S. intelligence reports indicate a deep-seated mistrust between the militaries of these two nations, raising important questions about their future interactions and the broader implications for regional stability. According to a U.S. intelligence briefing, both Beijing and Pyongyang are increasingly wary of each other's military capabilities and intentions. Analysts suggest that this mistrust stems from a combination of historical grievances and the evolving military strategies of both nations. The relationship is more complicated than many believe, noted a senior intelligence official. While they may cooperate on certain fronts, there is a fundamental lack of trust that permeates their military engagements. The implications of this mistrust are profound. As China continues to expand its military presence and capabilities, North Korea remains concerned that its ally could one day prioritize its own interests over Pyongyang's. This anxiety is exacerbated by China's increasing influence in Northeast Asia, particularly as it seeks to assert its dominance in the South China Sea and beyond. Additionally, North Korea's unpredictable behavior and continued development of its nuclear arsenal have only added to China's apprehensions. In a separate analysis, a Chinese military study has identified the U.S. B-52 bomber as the most significant nuclear threat to its national security, surpassing even the advanced capabilities of the F-22 and F-35 stealth fighters. This assessment reflects not only North Korea's concerns but also China's broader military strategy as it seeks to counter American air superiority in the region. As tensions rise, the Chinese military is likely to invest more in countermeasures against these perceived threats, potentially escalating an arms race in the region. Meanwhile, the U.S. faces its own challenges regarding military preparedness. A Pentagon report has warned of a readiness crisis as American forces struggle to modernize in the face of rapid advancements by China. To maintain our strategic advantage, We must invest in our military capabilities and ensure our forces are ready for any potential conflict, stated a Pentagon spokesperson. This pressure is compounded by the reality that U.S. export controls aimed at curbing China's technological advancements have paradoxically spurred greater innovation and development within China's own tech sector, according to Nvidia's CEO. The interplay of these dynamics underscores a significant shift in the balance of power in East Asia. With North Korea's military increasingly isolated and wary of its powerful neighbor, and with China bolstering its military capabilities, the potential for miscalculation and conflict grows. As both nations navigate their complex relationship, the U.S. will need to recalibrate its strategies to address these evolving threats effectively. Looking ahead, the future of military relations between China and North Korea remains uncertain. As both countries grapple with their respective insecurities and ambitions, the potential for conflict or cooperation will be pivotal in shaping the trajectory of regional security. Continuous monitoring and analysis will be essential as these developments unfold, especially as the U.S. re-evaluates its role in an increasingly multipolar world.